All right, today on Cabal Cast, we're going to be in Command & Conquer 3 Kane, so I have to do a noob training video commentary. So there's a couple of replays on the replay system, but I didn't feel like casting any of them because a couple of people have been asking me to do more noob video commentaries, and you know what? I understand. When I was a noob playing Kane's Wrath, I always wanted like players like Green Zero to cast my games for me a long time ago. So you know what? I'm going to give noobs a chance and do this replay here. So this replay was sent to me like maybe a month ago or something like that, and it's Fused Infection and how do you say Julie or Jolly or something like that. But Infection's been in my new replays before, and he needs some practice as Zocom, especially when he did that one crane push. And then Jolly, I don't know who he is, but anyway, let's get into this game, shall we? So we're going to be on Tournament Arena. This is 1.02, by the way. So here we have Jolie's playing as the GDI forces. How come this not deleting? Shift, delete. There we go. So we're going to have Jolie here playing as the GDI forces. It looks like he's going to be the GDI vanilla. So GDI vanilla for Jolie, and looks like it's going to be Zocom here for Infection. So both players are going for some standard economy builds. Looks like yeah, we see Jolly here has placed a watchtower, but he's not selling it off. So that's an indication right there that if you're going to build a watchtower, you do not want to keep it up as long as possible. You want to build it and sell it immediately. That's why the Z is your hotkey for your sell button. And like it says right up here, so Z is your sell mode. So you instantly click the watchtower, press Z, and then it'll instantly sell it. Because if you keep it up like that, that's not good, because then you're not preventing anti-scuts from coming from this direction. Oops, wrong keyboard, or this direction here. So you need to make sure you would sell that. But it looks like he's keeping his barracks up too, and that's not good either. You want to sell your barracks or watchtowers immediately after you build your engineers. And whatnot, looks like Infection is doing the same thing. He hasn't sold his barracks yet. He has captured his tip spikes, which is pretty good. Hopefully both players remember that if you build your refineries first and then you capture your tip spikes, you will get your $500 back, because if you don't, and if you capture the tip spike, you will not get your $500 back, and that's not good. So a couple foxholes here from Infection, and that is okay, but I would have liked for him to spread out his foxholes a little bit more. Maybe that's a good foxhole location right there, and maybe one over here as well, because then you can keep an eye on this entire location of what Jolie is building. So you know what? Not too shabby right now. These watchtowers are still in location, which is not good. You should have sold them a long time ago. But a refinery now, and I'm just going to pause this for a second here, because double refinery is good, but you want to have a war factory, because then you can get a scout if you don't have your scouts on pit bulls, or you can get another harvester out immediately. Then if you build another refinery, you will get your third harvester instead of wasting money on like another refinery, because another refinery is $3,000. So you spent $6,000 and you don't have any units on the map yet. So that is a little bit sketchy. See, what Infection did was correct. He went for a war factory, and he did build another harvester, which is good. And he's probably going to go for another refinery. Yeah, you go for another refinery, but look at this. He is sold on cash because he went for he went for 3 foxholes. So that is not needed, because it will waste $300 of for what you need here, and he hasn't sold his barracks yet, which is another $300 down the drain. So if you're going to do this, you need to sell. Don't go for 3 foxholes. 1 foxhole inside the base is totally okay, and if you get caught by these watchtowers, that's totally fine too. So what Julie's doing, he's keeping his watchtowers, and he has teched up to tier 2 without having going for a war factory. So that's a misstep here, and there's no need to build a watchtower for defense as well, just so you know. And for rocket squads is okay at the start of the map, but if you can't just do this. You can't just destroy a foxhole and then just drop another foxhole wherever this one's going to be destroyed. So you got to be extra careful about that, what you do. And you don't need to build more foxholes close to each other, like I said before, because the build radius is like this, and 1 foxhole is totally fine, so you don't need them that much. You can send the rifleman squad up this way, and then you can garrison. Okay, you can't garrison the bunkers up there, but you can go up here and then garrison the rifleman squads up there. So which is totally fine right there. So now he's got looks like Infection has got 5 and 2, which is the proper ratio. He's going for some pit bulls. Pit bulls on this map is only good maybe 5 attack if you're going for harvester harassment, but you don't need to build like a ton of them, because predator tanks work just as well, if not better. And he finally built the War Factory, but looks like he's not going to be building anything out of the War Factory anytime soon. So he's got a couple pit bulls here, but they need to do some scouting. So I would suggest one pit bull go this direction, and then one go this direction, and then one go that direction. Just to scout the map, because Jolie has not scouted infection at all in this game. And some pit bulls coming out here, they need to start doing some harassment. They need to go for some harvest harassment. They need to go now. Where is the... Okay, this is a good location here for a construction yard. However, he would have just... If you build a 6 harvester, you can just send it right into the north here, and then long distance mine the blue tip, because you don't need a refinery up here, because then it'll just waste a bunch of money that you don't need. And now the pit bulls here in rocket squads and rifleman squads, see, this is like a pretty weak force to go up against. But if you just go with these infantry squads, you can just go in for a distraction in the front side of the map, and then you can bring your pit bulls over here in this direction, and then you can go for some harvester harassment. And Jolie only has 2 harvesters, so he can't really build anything too heavily. He has a refinery on this field here, but it's a little further away than I guess he wanted it to. But he's trying to base creep. And base creeping in Kane's Wrath at this stage is not good. You can only base creep if you have multiple MCV with a lot of harvesters and a lot of refineries to keep your economy going. So these pit bulls here are just clearing out the foxholes, but Infection doing a great job garrisoning up these rifleman squads in the bunkers there, and that is correct. As long as you do that, you can keep tabs on your enemy forces. Now, Jilly has an airfield, so he's trying to go for some orcas, but he can't do that because his economy is so weak. So you need 5 harvesters on this field with 2 refineries to make a proper ratio, and he has 4 and 2 and 4 and 2. No, he has 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So his economy is not that great, and this Infection is just taking advantage of this. He built a refinery for this field right here, so that's not necessarily needed. But if you wanted to build it, if you have time, you build it. Time to build it, that's totally fine. And then another war factory here, which is good. He shouldn't go for pit bulls. He should go for predator tanks. And to be honest, he should have teched up to tier 2 to get some shadow tanks too. Because if you get shadow tanks against a forest like this, against buildings, it absolutely wrecks. So he's not a tier 2 yet, and I think I've seen Infection do this before. No, it was somebody else. Where if you don't tech up and you think you're in the lead, because you might think that your opponent is not in the lead, but to be honest, he is. He's got a tech lab. He can go for mammoth tanks, and even though his economy is not great, a couple of mammoth tanks can just shred this forest right here, or juggernauts, or even a Mar for that matter. So as a player, if you think you're in the lead of the game, you need to tech up. At least to Firehawks or mammoth tanks, because if you tech up, and the more forces, more tier 3 units you get, the easier victory. If you keep spamming tier 1 forces, you think you might be in the lead, and then you come up against a bunch of mammoth tanks, and you're thinking, oh my god, this is not good. I should have teched up a long time ago. So it's a good idea to tech up, to build up a force, and then go in, and then once you're going in, tech up to get your most powerful units. And then this is also a little bit of a rookie mistake. You have to make sure your harvesters don't bug out, because it's 1.02 plus. But this is not 1.02 plus, this is 1.02. So yeah. So this field is dry. He should have kept 1 harvester here and then sell this refinery right here. So yeah, I don't know why this is like this. I can't. My teleporter screen can't go like this. It's a little bit weird. But okay, I'll just do this for fun. See, this is what I was talking about. You get a Marv out, right? So, and I don't think once those rifleman squads have been destroyed inside of Jolie's base, he was able to tech up without even Infection knowing about it. And now he's going to be harvesting this field right here, and he doesn't have a barracks, so he can't really hope to put anything in that side of that Marv. But now he has a sonic emitter, so that he should keep his base relatively fine. But as Infection has just been going with tier 1 pitbull attack, this is not going to work, because his pitbulls are going to get shredded by that one single sonic emitter. Not to mention the Marv is on the loose, and they're just harvesting his own field. To be honest, he shouldn't really be doing this. He should be at least harvesting this field right here, because if you harvest this field, you're harvesting less Tiberium than what your harvesters are actually harvesting. So this is a little bit of a mistake here from Julie. Even though he could go in this field right here and then harvest that field, but to be honest, he needs a larger force to deal up against these massive amounts of pit bulls, which are not needed. There's a bunch of them. He spent all this money on pit bulls where he should have been spending it on tech. And now, looks like a Julie does have 3 repair pods and a rocket squad inside that Marv. So you know what? You can put 2 repair pods inside that Marv. But now, this has tech. You could put 2 zone troopers in that Marv instead of 3 repair pods, because a repair pod Marv can only work if you're Steel Talons, if you want a beefy Marv. Now he's going for some hammerheads, and this is a mistake because there's a ton of anti-air. And since Julie has not scouted Infection once, and Infection hasn't scouted Julie in the last, I'm going to say 5 minutes of this game, both players do not know what each other has. Obviously, Infection knows that Julie does have a Marv, so he's been preparing for that, sort of. He's got a bunch of infantry forces, and they don't have, okay, I was going to say they might have tip field suits, but they don't. And Infection is finally teched up to his most powerful units. He's going for hammerheads of his own. He should be getting a Marv or some Juggernauts or something like that, because the Juggernauts here from Julie are, they have 3 right now, and this doesn't necessarily mean that Julie's in the lead, because these pit bulls here can easily outrun those Juggernauts if you don't catch them in the right location. And it looks like Infection is just garrisoning up his rocket squads inside those hammerheads, which is correct. But with these hammerheads, you want to do a little bit of a flank attack. So instead of just doing this whole armada of hammerheads and just putting infantry in them and just wanted to beef up your force, you need to go around the sites, because there's absolutely 0 anti-air here for not for Infection, but for Julie. And now his main field has been mined out. He's still been building a hammerhead, so he still has economy, and he has more Juggernauts in the bottom here backing up this Marv. So I think Julie, he needs to make a decision on what he wants to do, because once he sees this forest right here, he can go in. He might go in or you might not, but once Infection sees that Marv, he's probably going to make the mistake of going after that Marv and just not saving his forces. But we'll see what he's going to do. I think the whole reason why he went for hammerheads was to just counter that Marv. And that's a good way to think about it. There's a couple of hammerheads here just for scouting purposes, and they do see that that tip spike is there. So no harassment, no scouting from both these players. So this is what I was saying before. Oh, tip field suits is done. Nice too. Okay, so now those, oh, look, see, this is what I was talking about. You grouping up your pit bulls like that, they get countered by those Juggernauts. And now with the long-range artillery bombardment of those Juggernauts, because Infection is Zocom, he can't build artillery units. So what he has to rely on these hammerheads to do some heavy flank attacks, either that or some kiting. And with these Juggernauts in the backside of things, they're just keeping those forces in suppression fire. So here's what I wanted to do. So like, if your forces are in suppression fire, there's a thing called, not reverse move, but force move. So it will get units out of suppression fire and move towards target location, losing their suppression armor bonus. So if you remember to get your forces out of suppression fire, they will be able to regroup with your forces, and even though they will lose their armor bonus, once you click it again, they will gain their armor bonus again. You just need to get those forces out of suppression fire, because then you can retreat. But now that tip spike's been destroyed, I think Julie's going to be in command of this game now. He has the Marv, he has the Juggernauts, he has the aircraft, he has the anti-aircraft, he's got the Mammoth tanks. I think he's probably going to take it. Infection spent all this time building pit bulls that he should have been spending on Mammoth tanks and huge, heavy aircraft forces. Because as Zocom, you want a Marv. You need a Marv. It's common sense. So now, it's just a matter of who wants to attack first. You know, who wants to attack first? Do you think Julie's going to be attacking his huge amount of forces, or is he going to let? Okay, yeah, this is going to be a disaster for Infection. After this game, I'm going to go over which player does what. Okay, so here comes Infection with his huge pit bull force, and oh my god, he has the shock artillery coming in, and he's going to use his entire pit bull army and hammerheads to take out that Marv. Okay, so support powers are in play now, and there is an orbital bombardment as well. So Infection's going to be going in with his huge forces, and there's no anti-air here. There's no anti-air here because all those forces have been taken out by those pit bulls have all been taken out. But there's a lot of pit bulls down as well. The Marv is down as well, so the hammerheads are taking out control of all the Juggernauts, and now Infection all of a sudden is in control of this game now. So because because Julie did not anticipate these hammerheads, he just got completely jumped and baited into those pit bulls right there. And those pit bulls have all been destroyed, believe it or not, because of those juggernauts on the backside of things. But now, because these hammerheads are here and they don't have any ceramic armor, they sure do need some. But now they're going on a rampage and just taking out all the harvesters and all the tech and all of the construction yards and whatnot. And then this should be GG for Julie because he did not anticipate the air rush because he didn't scout infection a single time in this game. So what's going to happen now is the power's down. There's a couple of mammoth tanks here, but the power's down and he can't build any more power plants. He doesn't have... He has one more power plant left, but I don't think the advanced turbine is going to be enough to power his base fully. So he doesn't have ceramic armor yet for his hammerheads, but he sure needs them. And it looks like Infection is still building up some more zone raiders, and they're just going to put him inside the hammerheads. So at this point, you know, Julie lost. There's no way of coming back from this. And Infection could have finished him a long time ago, but he wants to group up his hammerheads. So if this was Tib Wars, I would just fast forward in this game and see what else happens. Here comes an Orca Strike. The Orca Strike, oh, nice. Takes out all of those husks. That was a nice Orca Strike. That definitely paid for itself. Pit Bulls is not the answer to what Julie's asking for. He needs slingshots, and he can build slingshots from his command post because that's what you need. And if he had power, he could probably tech up and get some tungsten AA for his slingshots. But now he's just going for some cheap pit bulls. I don't think he has the money for it anyway. Let me just see how much money people have. Infection has 300 and 3,000 for Julie. So here come the hammerheads. They're going to take out the rest of the power plants. And now this is definitely going to be the end for Julie. He can't come back from this. Doesn't matter what he does. These hammerheads should be focusing the pit bulls so that they don't get jumped and destroyed unnecessarily, which is he's losing hammerheads unnecessarily. Taking out the tech now, and there's even the zone raiders just providing some extra cover fire for the front lines. Once this last building goes down, it's going to be GG for Julie. And a heroic raider squad, nice. Take out the last structure, and that's the end. Julie's been defeated. Okay, so what can we learn from that game? Well, for one thing, okay, Infection scouted the first part of the game. He had 3 foxholes in every locations, but then once he got booted out, he never scouted Julie once. So what he was able to do was he was able to tech up, and Julie was able to tech up, get his Mammoth tanks, get his Juggernauts, and just wait. You know, just tech up and wait. And Infection was just building non-stop pit bulls, and you could have set like 10 of them in the back lines and then attack the harvesters, but he just kept building more and more pit bulls until he finally teched up to his hammerheads. And once you build an airfield, if you're going to go for hammerheads, you need to have ceramic armor 100% at the time. So even before you build a first hammerhead, you need to get ceramic armor, because then you can build up your tech. You can get your tech lab, and then you can get your raider bug. They can get your zone raiders, and then you can go for hammerheads because they're gonna have ceramic armor and AP ammo already. Then you go for a huge flank attack. You don't go for pit bulls as Zocom, 2 or 3 minimum to get in the back lines and see what's everybody else. No more pit bulls after that. You need to tech up. You need to get your Marv. You need to get your Mammoth tanks. You need to get your infantry. A lot of them. A lot of aircraft. Firehawks even. Firehawks is great as Zocom because when they have ceramic armor and then they have those Starfighter boosters, they will wreck your base. And then Julie, on the other hand, he never scouted once. He didn't know what was going on. Not once. So scrap all that. He didn't sell his barracks. He didn't sell his watchtowers. He just kept him alive for the entire game. He only had 2 harvesters and 2 refineries on each field. He was harvesting his field, which is not right. And then he just teched up and got his Marv and his Juggernauts, and he got jumped because he didn't have support powers. Period. If he had support powers, he would have fired it on the pit bulls to take them all out, and then he would have, if he's seen those hammerheads, he would have had shockwave artillery to take all those pit bulls, and then the orbital bomber as well, and then the supersonic airstrike to take all those hammerheads, and then the other would have been GG. So Yeah, so there's your game on Tournament Arena. Hope y'all enjoyed this new vid train video commentary. My name is Cabal, and I'll see you guys next time.